The temperature swing coming to the eastern United States over the next several days is going to be one of the more jarring atmospheric transitions of this entire spring season. Right now, warm. Unseasonably warm across much of the east. And that warmth feels comfortable, feels welcome after a long stretch of active weather. But it is not going to last. Behind the current warmth, a cold front is already building strength to the west, and when it arrives, temperatures across the eastern United States are going to drop 15 to 25 degrees below normal. Not below where they were, below where they should be for this time of year. 20 to 30 degree total swings in temperature within 24 to 48 hours. This is the roller coaster pattern that has been defining this season, and it is not finished yet. Let's start with today, because while temperatures are comfortable across much of the country, the atmosphere to the west is anything but quiet. An enhanced risk, level 3 out of 5, is active today across northern Missouri, southern Iowa, and western Illinois. This is the current focal point for severe weather, and it comes directly off the back of the storm systems that have been churning through the Central Plains over the past several days. The atmosphere here is loaded with instability, with wind shear, with the ingredients that produce organized and dangerous thunderstorms. Damaging winds and large hail are the primary threats. Strong tornadoes are possible with any discrete supercells that manage to hold together before the line consolidates. Beyond the enhanced risk zone, a broader slight risk extends across the plains and into the Midwest. And a cold front stretching from the Texas-Mexico border all the way up into the Lower Peninsula of Michigan is acting as the primary trigger line, with thunderstorms firing along that boundary through the afternoon and evening. Tomorrow, Saturday, the storm system continues its march east. The Ohio Valley comes into focus. A slight risk covers this area for the second consecutive day. As the front pushes into Indiana, Ohio, and Kentucky, the thunderstorm threat continues, and the severe weather risk shifts with it. And then Easter Sunday. This is where the pattern takes a turn that is going to disrupt plans for a lot of people. A marginal severe weather risk is in place for Easter Sunday across South Carolina, North Carolina, Virginia, and the Delmarva Peninsula, the coastline zone covering Delaware, Maryland, and Virginia's eastern shore. Scattered thunderstorms are possible ahead of the cold front as it arrives on Sunday. For anyone who has outdoor Easter plans along the East Coast, Sunday's forecast requires flexibility. Keep an eye on conditions through the morning. If storms are developing near you in the early afternoon, move activities inside. But here is where the Easter Sunday forecast takes a genuinely unusual turn. Once that cold front pushes through, and it will push through quickly, temperatures on the other side drop fast, 15 to 25 degrees below normal. And what follows the front in its immediate wake is not just cold, damp air. It is lake-effect snow and snow squalls reaching into areas that almost never see late April snow activity. Pennsylvania, New Jersey, New York, southern New England. Lake-effect snow squalls on the backside of this Easter cold front will push further east and south than lake effect activity typically extends. This is a direct consequence of how cold the air behind the front is. It is polar air, not just cool spring air, and how warm the Great Lakes still are after a mild winter. The temperature difference between the lake surface and the air above it generates intense snow squall activity that can drive south and east much further than usual. Lake effect snow squalls have a very specific characteristic that makes them dangerous for drivers. They arrive without much warning from the sky above. You can be driving under overcast skies and within seconds find yourself in near-zero visibility conditions as a squall band moves over the road. These squalls are narrow, sometimes only a mile or two wide, but the snow intensity inside them is extreme. Cars that enter a squall at highway speed without adjusting have caused multi-vehicle pileups. Slow down when skies darken suddenly this weekend across the mid-Atlantic and southern New England. The squalls are brief, but they are intense. These are not forecast to be major snowstorm events for the mid-Atlantic and New England, but brief, intense squalls with limited visibility and some light accumulation on elevated surfaces are possible as far south as northern Pennsylvania and as far east as southern Connecticut. If you are traveling Easter Sunday evening or Monday morning in these areas, be aware that road conditions can change very quickly when a squall passes through. Now, let's step back from the immediate weather and look at what is building behind all of this. Because the biggest story of the next 2 weeks is not the severe weather, as significant as that is. The biggest story is water. The central United States is about to be inundated with rainfall on a scale that compounds everything that has already fallen. Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Louisiana, Nebraska, Iowa, Illinois, Michigan. These states are looking at 5 to 10 inches of total rainfall over the next 2 weeks. Not in a single storm, in repeated, relentless rounds of storms, one system after another moving through the same corridor, dropping more rain on top of already saturated ground. 5 to 10 inches in 2 weeks. For context, that is often close to or exceeding the entire month's worth of rainfall that these states typically see in April. Some locations could receive 4 to 5 times their normal monthly rainfall. The rivers in these areas have already been running elevated from earlier systems. The soil has already absorbed significant moisture. The capacity for additional absorption is limited. What this means practically is that the flooding risk in the south-central United States is not just a storm-by-storm concern. It is a cumulative, compounding concern that builds throughout the month. Each additional rainfall event does not behave independently. It adds to everything that came before. Streams that flooded last week will flood again at lower rainfall totals. Rivers that receded will rise again faster than normal. If you live anywhere near a river, creek, or known flood-prone area in Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Louisiana, Iowa, Illinois, or Michigan, the next 2 weeks require consistent monitoring of local water levels. This is not a wait for the warning situation. By the time a flash flood warning sounds, conditions can deteriorate extremely quickly. Stay ahead of it. Now, I want to address the sharp contrast on the other side of the country, because while the central and south-central states deal with repeated flooding rainfall, the southeast remains locked in drought. South Carolina, Georgia, Florida, Alabama. These states are expecting less than ½ an inch to 1 inch of total rainfall through around the 18th of April. The same fronts that are bringing torrential rain to Texas and Oklahoma are tracking too far north and west to reach the southeast with meaningful moisture. The drought that has been building in these states for weeks continues to deepen. Wildfire risk remains elevated, and there is no significant relief on the near-term horizon. And looking further ahead, into the middle of the month, the pattern is setting up for another round of significant severe weather across the Central Plains, the Midwest, and potentially the Great Lakes. The same combination of factors that has been driving repeated severe weather events, Gulf moisture streaming northward, jet stream energy coming off the Rockies, and a volatile temperature contrast between warm southern air and cold northern air remains in place. The specific timing and exact threat zones will sharpen as we get closer, but mid to late April looks like it continues the active pattern rather than breaking it. The jet stream driving all of this is undergoing a series of rapid configuration changes, switching between patterns that favor warmth in the east versus patterns that favor cold intrusions. These switches are happening faster than normal this spring, which is why the temperature swings are so extreme and why the storm frequency is so high. The atmosphere is not settling into a stable mode. It is oscillating between states, and each oscillation brings another weather event. Here is your clean timeline. Today, northern Missouri, southern Iowa, western Illinois. Enhanced risk. Damaging winds, large hail, organized tornadoes possible. Broad slight risk across the wider plains and Midwest. Cold front from Texas-Mexico border to Michigan Lower Peninsula acts as the primary trigger. Saturday, Ohio Valley. Slight risk continues as the front pushes east into Indiana, Ohio, and Kentucky. Thunderstorms continue along the frontal boundary. Easter Sunday. South Carolina, North Carolina, Virginia, Delmarva. Marginal severe weather risk ahead of the cold front. Scattered thunderstorms possible for outdoor gatherings. Cold front arrives fast. Behind it, lake effect snow squalls push into Pennsylvania, New Jersey, New York, and southern New England. Temperature drop of 15 to 25 degrees below normal. Next 2 weeks, central and south-central US. 5 to 10 inches of compounding rainfall across Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Louisiana, Iowa, Illinois, Michigan. Flooding risk builds cumulatively. Monitor local water levels continuously. Southeast throughout. Drought continues. Less than 1 inch of rain expected through mid-April. Wildfire conditions remain elevated. Mid to late April. Another significant severe weather pattern developing across the Central Plains and Midwest. Details will sharpen over the coming days. We will keep tracking all of this. We'll see you in the next update.